Not all men, not all men. Okay, hire a male babysitter then.
Whenever the typical evil that men tend to perpetuate against women and children are being discussed, there is this subset of people that comes around with no other argument but not all men. They admit that it is a man that did this, but they'll come with you with not all men. But when you ask these same people, will you leave your child under the care of a man? Will you leave your child to be babysat by a man or a woman? These same people will more than likely always pick a woman. They will never agree for their own offspring to be under the care of a man. Why is that, you think? Let's get right into it.
Not all men, not all men. Okay, hire a male babysitter then. To be alone with your children, in charge of your children. Unsupervised. Without you there. Yeah. Why not? Wait, why not? Hire a teenage boy. Or hire an old man. Ooh, wait. You want to do that? Wait, but you do that with an old lady. Wait, what's the problem? Oh, so like not all men, but like enough of them to like make you feel uncomfortable with the thought of that, because you're like, wait, I don't know. Wait.
People saying not all men. Not all men. Read the comments of this video. I'm gonna tag her wherever I can tag her. But she said, okay, not all men, then hire a male babysitter. Don't want to hire like a male teenage babysitter? Okay, then hire a little old man who's good with kids. That sounds scary to you? Even funeral homes choose to hire women over men for the same reason. Think about that. The fact that there's hundreds of thousands of people saying that they'd rather leave their baby with a responsible looking dog. For the men and women who are going to say, oh, but you need men for protection. Protection from who? All of the former babies in the comments are saying, no thanks, I'd rather just be left alone. Not all men argument has been boiled down to gun safety. Not all guns are loaded, but the first rule of gun safety is to treat every single gun as if it is loaded. For anyone who thinks this is just women who are concerned on this level, no, there are literally men in the comment section of that very video saying, I am a male father, but the last thing I will do is hire a male babysitter because a male babysitter ruined my life. Not all men, then why are we drilling it into our toddler age children that if they ever get lost out in public, they look for a woman with children or an African American woman? Why? Because if you are a child lost, those are the people who will understand the true danger you are in. Why is it African American women and mothers that understand the true danger of being out in the world and exposed to men?
Don't you find it funny that people do not only not trust men around their children, but these men are also not trusted around dead bodies? Yes, this is to the point that most funeral homes and mortuaries prefer to hire a woman than a man. Even in my culture and in some other African cultures, when a very beautiful woman dies, instead of the rites to be performed in the house, her body is left outside in the open and herbs and honey are rubbed on her body. This is to deter men from sexually assaulting that dead woman's corpse. But society will still expect women to let their guards down around these men and to go around thinking that it is not all men.
Not all men, not all men, not all men, but you will never hire a male babysitter. Men are not allowed to work alone in the morgue because men do not spare children and men do not spare dead bodies. Sit with it. Sit with this thought.
Ivan Deverin is accused of sexually abusing his dog.
His dogs, his orangutans. Hold on, I wrote it down. I asked ChatGPT to list the animals that men have sexually abused over the years. So if I've seen dog, Nabi, his goats, his cows, his pigs, his cats, his donkeys, his horses, orangutans, monitor lizard. That particular monitor lizard, Nami Adam. You'd like ChatGPT to forget that one because I think I reported on that case last year when I had just started my content journey. Have I mentioned pigs? Okay, now when it comes to human beings, obviously women and children. Babies in diapers, babies. You understand what I mean? Babies, 2-3 months, babies. Good. Boys, men, and dead people. People that are dead, people that are no longer alive, people that are in the mortuary, dead people. Now, this is not to say that women do not sexually assault. but the percentage difference is like 1,000 is to half. Now, with that being said, should we also start figuring out what all these animals and dead people were wearing, including the babies? What I want you to take away from this is, I'm not talking about the men that come to ask what was she wearing. You guys are just dumb bitches. I don't engage with people. I'm talking to women because I went through this as well. At some point, I was asking myself, did I want this? Was it my fault? Could I have won something better? No. Women in hijabs get raped as well. It wasn't your fault. That man was a rapist. Okay, now to the rest of you, I'm sure I will get a not all men. People probably will not see it because before you see that person is already blocked. But I'm sure I will get a not all men. They will be here very soon. Indeed, not all men. But why is it always a man? You people cuddle your rapist friends, and I'm talking to both men and women now. I heard the story about a lady whose little brother was staying with her. The little brother raped her baby, her 6-month-old baby. The bitch sent her brother back to the village. Did not report to the police or nothing because I don't want to destroy his life. What I want to ask you people is, to what end? Those of you that protect your rapist friends, still hang out with them, your rapist brothers and uncles and fathers, you protect them. To what end? Right now, we are doing justice for Rashford, a Ghanaian little boy that his coach was repeatedly raping. Maybe now that people are starting, because nobody today, men begin rape boys, so you don't take. Maybe now that, it is making the news. Maybe you guys will take it seriously. Not that I give a fuck what you take serious or not, but maybe you guys will start taking it seriously.
I don't know why people were acting shocked when women choose the bear during the whole men versus bear saga. Because looking at the list of animals that she mentioned, honestly, the bears and other animals will actually choose the bear over men. Because what even is this? Even the animals are not safe.
Not all men, not all men. Okay, hire a male babysitter then.
I'm going to let y'all do this information with what you will. But before I became a social worker, I was a professional nanny for 10 years. And part of that means I was involved in these online communities for other professional nannies. In fact, like some of you I know on here from those communities. So in the biggest nannies group I was in on Facebook, it had over 20,000 members. There were 3 men in my time in that group who actively engaged. Let me tell you the outcomes of those 3 men. One of them seems like a chill dude. Another guy was very popular in these groups, commented, was highly engaging. One day somebody posts a news story. He was arrested for doing exactly what you think he did. Then, so that first one, I think he's fine. I don't know. I never heard anything about him. The third guy is still actively a nanny around the area I live in. And it came out that he is legally married. He is married to somebody who is serving a federal sentence for having things on his computer that he and nobody should ever have. And this man, who is a self-described special needs nanny, is in groups defending his husband, defending this man serving a federal sentence for having things on his computer that he should never have. And a few of us local nannies obviously try to get this information out because everybody should know that the person they are hiring, if that's what they stand for and believe in, that's what they stand for and believe in. As for me and mine, my husband, the love of my life, if he had things on his computer that nobody should ever have on their computer, that's my ex-husband. You know what I mean? My husband would never, but you know what I mean.
Not all men, not all men. Okay, hire a male babysitter then. To be alone with your children, in charge of your children. Unsupervised. Without you there. Yeah.
I don't think most reasonable people would have a problem with that. But I do understand that this is supposed to be one of those gotcha moments where someone has a grand epiphany because they're expecting the usual answer to be no.
Why not? Wait, why not? Hire a teenage boy. Or hire an old man. Ooh, wait. You want to do that? Wait, but you do that with an old lady. Wait, what's the problem?
See, what they're doing here is projecting their own prejudices onto most people because they seem to be assuming that most reasonable and good parents wouldn't vet an old lady because they're harmless. But yet they would have scruples about leaving them alone with a male. But a lot of women like to leave this part out of the conversation. The majority of perpetrators of maltreatment against children is actually done by women.
Oh, so not all men, but enough of them to make you feel uncomfortable about it. Because you're wait, I don't know.
And they say prejudice against males doesn't exist.
Not all men, not all men. Okay, hire a male babysitter then.
honey, I wouldn't hire you to babysit my kids. Especially if that's the way that you view things and you think that, men aren't hired as babysitters because they're naturally looked at as predators. No, men don't even apply to be babysitters because of people like you. And I'm pretty sure if any man ever had a baby with you, at some point in his life, he's going to have false accusations against him because you're exactly the type. I guess we've just missed all the videos and news stories of women preying on children. Actually, there was just one that I just shared of a woman who was sexually assaulting a 5-year-old boy to send it to her boyfriend. So, you guys, once again, will pick the bear, but you'll sell your kids to the man. And these are the same type of women that come on here and talk about how they're oppressed and men just want them home and breeding and they have to do all the child rearing obligations and duties because he's afraid to be alone with his children around women like you. Because fucking one diaper change is gonna ruin his life because he's got no fucking witnesses to be like, no, dude, that didn't happen. I would rather watch the human species die off than see a man get her pregnant. Like, ew.
Here comes Captain Pickme to the defense of these men with their misleading statistics and anecdotes. First and foremost, when you look at the study that she mentioned about women being more likely to be abusive to children than men, that study is actually a real study. But when you understand statistics and you understand the research work, you will know that the fact that women are more likely to be the ones caring for children than men skews the sample size of that study, which also skews the findings and results of that study. Also, when you look at the types of abuse that these women were perpetrating in that study, it is actually lesser forms of abuse than men are likely to perpetrate. Women were more likely to perpetrate abuse such as neglect, maltreatment, and physical abuse, while men were more likely to perpetrate more severe forms of abuse like rape, sexual assault, sexual exploitation, and more severe forms of physical abuse on these children. Furthermore, the whole anecdote of men being less likely to participate in the house and in raising their children because they are afraid that the mothers of their children are going to accuse them of sexually abusing their children is a big lie. And that is just a lie that this woman made up out of nowhere to find a way to blame women for just another thing that does not even involve the topic being discussed.
Not all men, not all men. Okay, hire a male babysitter then. To be alone with your children.
How many of you have a parent that did this to you? Raise your hand. How'd that go? Let's talk about it.
Be alone with your children.
No, it's not all men. And before you get angry, listen. Let's say hypothetically, we hire 100 babysitters, male babysitters, to leave them alone with a child. I believe that 10 of them wouldn't treat the child nicely, while in women, the percentage is much, much lower, probably 0.01%, I don't know. However, just because this 10%, these 10 men, this 10 number is so terrifying, no sane parent would take the risk to leave their child with men. It's not all men, but it's a lot.
This person really said women can be predators too. Yes, I know they can, but what are the chances that a woman is a predator compared to a man? That's what we need to understand here. Listen, I'm genuinely shocked at the amount of women in the comments that are saying women can be predators too. Look at these statistics that I've put there already. If you have a child, if you have a baby, are you going to go to a male babysitter or a female babysitter? Let's be real now. What are you going to do? No, I want your honest truth as well. Because everyone's saying women can be predators too. So are you saying that if there was the choice between a male and a female babysitter, you would go to a male babysitter? No, you wouldn't. Because the chances are men do stranger things than women do. And that's just the truth. It's just the truth. And if you can't understand that and you don't know that, like, it's just mental to me. How do you not know that men on average are more likely to be a predator than a woman? That just makes sense. And that's coming from a man as well. Like, you lot are lost, man. I swear. I don't even know. This is crazy.
So, in case you could not clearly see the stats he was talking about, the stats states that in most studies, between 80% to 95% of child sexual abuse perpetrators are male. And correspondingly, female perpetrators only make up between 5% and 20% of offenders. So you can clearly see that the whooping 80 to 95% of sexual abuse offenders of children are men, and women only make up about 5% to 25% of offenders.
Not all men, not all men. Okay, hire a male babysitter then. To be alone with your children, in charge of your children. Unsupervised.
1.6 million likes on that open just misandry, effectively. I think the concept of leaving your children with anybody you don't know is weird to most people, right? I don't think anybody really, that I know at least, would leave their child, male or female, with somebody, male or female, if they didn't know them. What about daycares? Yeah, not the same thing, right? Because daycares have multiple adults in them. Same thing with schools, right? But if you're going to make the argument of, oh, I have to make the choice between a male nanny with 9 years of experience or a brand new 16-year-old, you're obviously going to pick the female. Probably not, actually. I'm probably going to go with the guy who is telling me he has 9 years of experience. I don't like the idea of pushing that only men or only women could be a sex offender, right? Because there are plenty of stories of female teachers preying on their younger male students because it's for the student it's perceived as cool at the time until it's not, right? Then we get into perception of like, oh, well, you know, the male student isn't going to like suffer as much because he's perceived as cool as the female might. Yeah, because you never knew a female student that was obsessed with your male history teacher, right? Called them hot. Made Instagram pages about them. Those are real things that happen. And we're just going to act like, oh yeah, it's such a black and white scenario. The fact of the matter is that strangers are capable of anything because you don't know who they are or what their experiences are. Whereas people you do know, for the most part, you actually, for lack of a better term, know them on a personal level and probably are aware of what they are capable of. Hey, all men are evil, right? You can just accuse them of stuff and say whatever you want about them because it doesn't matter. It totally hasn't driven people to, you know, taking their own lives or anything else like that. There totally aren't active examples on this app of people being accused of horrible shit and them taking their own lives because they're a man and their life is over when that shit happens. But, well, whatever, man. We can just keep pushing that agenda and it doesn't matter at all. And 1.6 million people can like that video and get in the comments and say all their stupid shit about it. Whatever.
And he was saying, like, no sane straight man would ever want to or be good at watching a child that's not his own.
I'm sorry, continue, yeah.
He was saying this guy must be sick in the head and, like, just all this stuff. And I was like, this is a lot.
Yeah, that is.
Wow. Because I can see, okay, at first I'm like, all right, you have a 5-year-old daughter, a guy watching your daughter. Okay, so there's some relatability things there, maybe, you know, some, I don't know, a woman and a girl, they might connect on, you know, having the same parts and the same thing, whatever, but girls watch little boys, women watch little boys, you know, when they, that out of context, that sounds
right.
Bad, but, you know, women babysit little boys, yeah, so right. I don't think it's inherent, I don't think you have to be like that, but I never had a male babysitter growing up, so why not?
Yeah, I don't know. I was surprised by his reaction, I mean, to say the least, because, like, I don't know. I just thought he was fairly open-minded or, you know, progressive, and I was just kind of shocked because he like made me feel like a bad mom for even considering letting, you know, as he said, strange man watch our kid.
Because I'm trying to be open-minded here. I mean, I don't know that a man has ever applied. I don't know of a situation where there's a dude who wanted to babysit any of my friends' kids or when I was young, I mean, it was always a woman. And I think typically you think about women having nurturing tendencies and motherly tendencies and that kind of thing. But maybe that's a stereotype. I mean, why couldn't a guy, and I'm not trying to be woke here. I mean, I'm really asking the question, like, for the first time in my life, why couldn't a guy accomplish that if he passes the same sort of background check and you know, ethics sort of vibe check of a woman?
Couldn't pay me to hire a male nanny. I don't care what you say. Oh, that's chauvinistic.
First off, there's no hate to this man. But you notice how when men speak about how they don't trust other men with the women in their life, with their children, but when we as women say that, we are gaslit like there is no tomorrow. We're called crazy. we're told it's not all men. But men act like it's all men with one another. And then it hit me, I know why they do that. Because if we act that way, meaning be very cautious of all men, then it makes their access to women harder than what they feel it already is. There's so many walls they have to break down. And that means we just don't trust them right off the bat. So the more they can convince women that we're crazy and it's all in our head, the easier they can get access to the poom and everything else. But they know the truth about themselves. But we can't know that, or else it'll mess up everything they got going.
This is the sad fact about this whole situation. Society as a whole knows that these men are dangerous, and men in particular knows that their fellow men are dangerous. That's why they protect their own children and the women in their lives from their fellow men. But they do not want women to know this fact, and they definitely do not want us to be out there talking about it, because they don't want us to have our guards up against these men. They do not want us to be affecting these men's access to other women. Society knows that men are dangerous, but they would rather have us out there with these men that they know that majority of whom are dangerous than to have us withdrawing our access to ourselves from these men. Thanks for staying to the end of the video. Remember to give it a thumbs up if you found it interesting, and also subscribe to the channel to support yours truly. Also, don't forget to check out the videos in the playlist right here. Bye!